we're back for another exciting episode of The Spicy Life. I am your host, Spicy Madi, and joined with me is my beautiful and lovely co-host, Dr. Allie.
What up?
And we have a special guest in the building.
Yes.
Give it up for Mo Kelly.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, you guys have
He's dancing with us.
recognize this beautiful face and voice from our sister radio, KFI. But he is also a radio and television personality. I bet you didn't know the television part. Yes. Specializing in politics and current affairs. And he is heard on the weekends as a host, award-winning host. Oh, what awards have you... What? Award-winning host.
She's
okay.
like, what awards?
I know. I'm like, I didn't look into that. I'm like, wait, the
I
awards?
want an award.
I know. How do I get this award, Mo?
LA Press Club. Each year they give them out some to the best journalists in Southern California, and I've won one before.
Oh,
Dang.
Best journalist in Southern California. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what were you focusing on for that? The sports or politics? Because you're a master
Actually,
of all.
neither. It was for an entertainment piece I did on the passing of B.B. King.
Oh, well, dust shoulders off.
I know.
So Mo is joining us today, partly because we're going to talk about everything that we're not supposed to. Sex, religion, and politics.
Yes.
And so...
My three favorite subjects.
So today we're going to dispel any myths that you have about politics, which is that it's boring and, that it's pretentious. It can sometimes be maybe a little bit of that, but it really is sexy. And that's what we want you to take from this, is politics is sexy. And we always start off warming up our guests with the spicy dish.
Okay.
And so we can't get into any conversation without, with politics right now without talking about Trump and the multiple scandals that come with him.
Right.
So Stormy Daniels, big news, go figure, porn star, may have had a relationship with Donald Trump, during the election and got paid off by his lawyer. This sounds like an episode of Scandal or an episode of How to Get Away with Murder.
The best episode.
You
of
can't write this
Scandal.
stuff.
On my program, I have this thing called the Roach Theory, and I think...
Yeah.
Okay, anyone who's dealt with roaches, you know what I'm going to talk
Like a real
about.
cucaracha, like a cockroach.
A real
Cucaracha.
roach theory. In other words, if you see a roach in your house, you shouldn't be worried about the one you know about. You should worry about the 10s and 20s, which are in the walls. The cousins, the baby mamas, all those, the neighbors who want to just come by. If we know about this president who had a relationship with one porn star, there are probably dozens of others.
Let's talk about
There
it.
are probably others, not only in his closet, but also ones that he's tried to pay off. Stormy Daniels just happens to be the one we know about so
Exactly.
far. Well, I mean, he was I don't want to say a bachelor billionaire, but he was.
Yeah.
He was
acting as a bachelor.
He was acting as a bachelor. He had no barriers or boundaries in terms of what he was going to do or with whom. And this alleged relationship happened back in 2006. There was no reason for him to think like, well, I'm going to be running for president sometime soon, so let me temper my actions.
Right.
So not only do I believe it was Stormy Daniels, but there are probably some 10 other women.
Exactly.
10.
Yeah.
And wait, and her lawyer today was saying that other women have actually approached him because they want to get in on the lawsuit against Donald Trump. So who knows who these women are? Are they prostitutes? Are they porn stars? Are they just women that he's paid off? You know,
Probably
what I'm saying?
yes, and yes.
Right?
I'm not to be salacious, but that's the truth. The nature of politics and sex is they go hand in hand. And many times politicians, as they say, you don't pay a woman to stay, you pay her to go home. The easiest way to do that is to pay for a prostitute.
Right? Make her quiet. Keep her quiet.
Now,
You
why
give her money.
did this myth come about that politics and sex come hand in hand? Because politics has a bad rap. Where did sex come into the picture?
Sex is always connected to power.
That's it?
It is always one step away from power. And those men who are powerful attract women who are either seeking power or want to be next to power. And that has to do with athletes. That has to do with anyone who's in the military. That has to do with someone who might be a law enforcement
Absolutely.
officer. So you will
The
find that
entertainment
women...
industry.
Not to call women groupies, but there are women who are attracted to power or powerful individuals. Politicians are the embodiment of power.
Yeah.
What about female politicians? Are they getting,
I'm quite sure.
are they
But,
getting dick thrown at them left and right? 'Cause
I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure. But the
it would
difference
be
is
nice.
women can handle power better and they handle it differently than men. And I'm not saying that just because. Well,
Yeah, it's evolution.
the moment, and don't tell anybody this, but the moment women figure out that they control all the power because they control the P,
The power
It's
of
over.
the pussy is
P.O.P..
everything.
it's over.
Like literally,
it's over.
we need to talk about the book I'm about to write. Like seriously, it is all about the fact that women need to identify and understand every war that ever happened every law that was ever created, every argument that men have ever had is inadvertently in some way, shape, or form about pussy.
If you think about it this way,
It seriously is though. Like
everything a man does.
We will kill over the pussy. Yeah.
No, but everything a man does, the car we drive, the house we buy, the clothes we wear, it's always about
us.
trying to demonstrate that not only we're virile or we're sexually powerful, but we're desirous in that way. I mean, there's no point in having a big house or a big car unless you're trying to say that you have a big dick, honestly.
That's it. Well, because it goes back. Like,
or you're overcompensating.
Yeah, but it's still connected on some level.
Because it's like that whole, it's from our ancestors. Men wanted to find women that they could procreate with and make sure that they could retain their genes. So that's why they want like young women who could hold on to the seed and not miscarry. And that's why you want, women with a small waist and big hips, because that differentiates a man from a woman. When you're walking down the street, someone with a small waist and big hips is most likely a woman. So there's certain things that men were looking for in order to put their DNA in something. And that's why like marriage became a thing, because you didn't have DNA tests. So you didn't know who your kids belonged to.
Right.
So you wanted to make sure you locked her down. Right. She had nowhere to go. She couldn't get away from you, so that you made sure that when she popped a baby out, it was yours.
There was no Jerry Springer.
Because there was no Jerry Springer.
Gotta make sure at the time. Otherwise.
Nope.
You gotta make sure. And then for women, we knew that there was going to be a period in our time when we would need support. We would need someone to protect the door to our cave. Because we might not have been physically big enough to make sure another barbarian didn't run in there. So our barbarian had to be bigger than their barbarian. And then it got to a point where it wasn't so much about barbarous size, but it was about the size of your bank account or the power with which you had.
But that still goes back to protection.
That's it.
Money still breeds protection.
We need the protection.
The security.
Yeah, because also for 9 months, which let's be real, a pregnancy is really like 10 months. A year of your life, you're down. If something happens during your pregnancy, you can't work. You can't do anything, and imagine that happening in like the year 2 or 7 or 8.
Oh yeah.
If you couldn't move or work or do anything, you had to make sure your man could do all of the stuff you couldn't do. And so it became really important for us to need that protection and that support from men. And I think that now it's just translated into, oh, you're running for president? Oh, you're going to be so powerful. You'll be able to take care of me. I love it.
But when you're talking about running for president, that is a very specific and limited seat of power in the sense of access.
45 people.
You can go to the Staples Center and find an athlete. You can go to the movie house or hang out in Hollywood and see an actor or an actress. But to find the next president of the United States, that type of power, future world leader, that is a whole different tax bracket. That's a whole different power bracket.
That's it. Oh,
and that's a whole different level of sexual attraction bracket.
How many living presidents do we have now? 5?
We know that when...
Are you counting this one?
Yeah.
Oh, God. 4.
Oh, there we go.
No, he's...
I'm like,
not mine.
But
not
when Melania signed up for, her role as third wife, she didn't know that he was going to be president. I'm thinking she just signed up for the billions, not knowing and he's going to go into politics too. She probably didn't even think he was capable. And
honestly,
and clearly, they're at a point now in their relationship where she knows her place. She is just simply the arm candy when it comes to Trump.
I think she knew that once she got married in terms of just being the arm candy. To your point, she definitely did not sign up for this type of microscope on her life.
Not when she's forging speeches. So
can we talk about how I met the guy that discovered that broke that story?
Oh, that's right.
I sat next to the guy that broke the story that Melania Trump had forged or had plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech, and I literally gave him a hug. I just was overcome.
Give a little inside information. Every speech now, obviously there's a transcript. There are people who are paid to take those scripts and run them through these plagiarism type websites.
Yeah.
Like if you're in college.
Yeah.
Like you're in college and your professor wants to figure out whether you have been plagiarizing. Same thing, because they're looking for these phrases where they've been used elsewhere, because there's nothing new under the sun.
Right? Like, just cite your quotes. That's what I learned. Citation, citation, citation. Just say,
as
according
Dr. King
to
would say.
From.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, it's so easy, and it actually makes you look a little smarter.
But she can't. But
she
can't quote Michelle Obama. Okay.
Right.
She just
as
existed.
Michelle Obama would say.
The whole speech.
Yeah.
As Michelle Obama would say, talks for 50 minutes.
The crowd would go silent. Like, no, she did not.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it looks like someone else is getting a clue right now, because Donald Trump Jr.'s wife is filing for divorce. Vanessa is at a place right now where she's fed up.
She's out.
She doesn't want him anymore. So looks like, Trump Jr. is going to be back on the market, you ladies that are looking for power.
He's been, I don't think he ever left the market. They've been living separate lives. He's his father's son. So as far as I'm concerned, he's been doing the same thing that Donald Trump Sr. was. Remember, Donald Trump Sr., he was cheating on Ivana with Marla. He was cheating on Marla with any number of women. He was cheating on Melania with Stormy Daniels and any number of women.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure Don Jr. is not an apple which fell far from the tree.
Oh, absolutely.
I cannot wait. I'm ready for all the books. That's just what I'm waiting for. I want Melania's book. I want Vanessa's book.
No.
I want Ivanka's book. I want Ivana's book. I want all the
Ivanka
books.
will never give up. The,
No, I want Stormy Daniels videos. I want Stormy Daniels text messages.
Of course you want
I
Stormy
want
Daniels
Stormy Daniels
videos.
because
No,
that's
you know,
unedited.
but you know she has videos. She's the type of lady that
Yes.
you know, and that's why he had the silence.
She probably has them on a lot more people.
You know she
the
has
two
something.
parts of silence. He wanted to silence her, and he has been very silent.
But why
in
didn't
the
he
face
sign
of
it?
her.
Why do you think he didn't sign it?
Because he wanted no type of culpability. Most people don't actually think about going back and seeing who was the person who signed the agreement. David Dennison, if you don't know, that was the name which was on the NDA. And we in this business, we all know how NDAs work.
Yeah.
They're fine until someone wants to take you to court about
Right.
them. Because if someone alleges crimes, then everything in that NDA can still come out. You're not in violation of the NDA.
So it doesn't protect you the way that the person thinks that it's protecting you when you sign off.
No, this one is only supposed to protect him against defamation. But if she were to allege a crime, such as she is in this lawsuit saying, hey, you use campaign funds to pay me off, then everything in that NDA can be brought into public without violation.
And what do you think will be the ramifications if that truth comes out?
It depends on who brings it out. If it's Bob Mueller trying to pursue it and using that as part of his investigation as far as obstruction of justice, that has one set of circumstances. If it's the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, we can go back and look at John Edwards. You remember him running for president, how he was cheating on his wife who had cancer.
Yeah. That was sad.
He was charged with 6 felony counts. Now, that was litigated out, but that would be the end of any sitting president.
So literally, he could get taken down by Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, by a porn star.
Stephanie.
By the pussy. He can get taken down by the pussy. The same thing he grabs, he can get taken down by.
Taken down.
But Mo Kelly, you have on the Mo Kelly show a interesting, audience that, follows your station and follows you. They sometimes express that they really support and love Donald Trump. How are they reacting to, this year's and last year's, scandal that are coming out? Because it's nonstop. At some point, are they saying, maybe we didn't vote right? Like, are they second guessing that at all?
Not his ardent supporters. The people who support him, as Donald Trump said, he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter, paraphrasing him. That's true. The people who are emotionally connected to Donald Trump are not interested in facts. They're not interested in reason. They're more interested in the fact that the guy they voted for is in power and they're going to support him regardless. So anything I say is going to be fake news, or I'm just some bleeding heart liberal, or I'm just someone who's a never Trumper. Some of that is true, some of that isn't true. I'm not a liberal by trade, but I am a never Trumper. Because I was born with someone who appreciated respect, and I understand such a thing as grace and graciousness and decency, and much of what this man does is beneath the dignity of the office of president.
Preach.
And I will never support
Preach.
that behavior, regardless of his politics or the person.
Preach. I don't even know what else to say. Like, honestly, that is the perfect way to say it. Because, when people believe in somebody blindly, and one of the things that Trump uses that is so effective is fear. So he taps into a person's most basic sense of safety, and then he harps on it. And then, there's a lot of really interesting articles that talk about how when we feel disgust for something, we become more conservative. So they've even put in voting booths and in voting rooms, they'll spray the smell of a fart.
No.
And when there's a bad smell in the room, people tend to vote more conservatively.
Because you're trying to hurry up and get out of the room?
Yeah, and it's the experience of disgust. The experience of disgust biologically tells us that there's something that can make us sick in the room, and bacteria and sickness is something we have to stay away from, and so it makes you more fearful, and being more fearful makes you more conservative.
So farting makes you vote Republican.
Farting makes you Republican. Republicans, so if you want people to vote Republican, just go into the booth and fart.
So Republicans smell like ass? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't want. I'm just trying to connect these dots here.
I am not saying that to all my Republican friends. No, but yeah, and then they also showed in a more appropriate way that hand sanitizer, if you put it in a room, also makes people more conservative because it makes them feel like there's something in the room that they need to be protected from.
Yeah.
Something that's
Because when
dirty.
you see it, you want to grab it. Whether you knew you needed it or not, you start reaching for the sanitizer.
Because it's that fear part of your brain that's telling you to be afraid of something, and it's like, oh, abortion? No, because I'm scared of things right now. I'm going to be more more conservative.
You both touch on some things which are very important. Politics and who you support is very much about how you feel.
Yes.
It's not about the facts.
Emotional.
And what Donald Trump did, masterfully, I might add, was appeal to how people felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people felt that there were too many people of color in power. They felt that the country was slipping away from them. There were too many brown people who were in the country, legally or not.
I'm very legal.
But they were appealing to the feeling as if it wasn't their country. So a message like "Make America Great Again" is code, as we say. Let's go back to the 1950s
yep,
or
1951.
so, when there weren't all these Negroes and Negrettes and you know,
Latinas, Latinos,
and Morenos and Morenas. You know, what are that?
Latinos,
all the Islanders
yes.
coming up. Shout out to Shay.
And you say that on the heels of an exiting black president,
Yeah.
then it makes everyone. It's like I may not be able to articulate it, but he resonates with how I feel as an American.
And that's what a lot of people said. It's just he's saying the things I wanted to say.
And that's the biggest lie. He says he speaks his mind. No, he speaks their mind.
Exactly, because his mind is different.
Right.
I know people who know Trump.
But we've seen him operate like this, even starting off. I used to watch, his reality show. And when he
As did I.
would, and one of the things that he did, which he's infamous for, is saying, you're fired. And so what does that make you feel? What are you watching? Because you're afraid. You want to see who's going to get rejection. Yeah. And what happens when we're, in periods of rejection. We do this in our relationships as well. If we think we could potentially be let go or abandoned or someone doesn't want us, even with the job, we start operating out of fear. It's the same tactic he was using before. Now he's just doing it in the White House.
Exactly.
And it's running his little reality show still.
Yeah, absolutely. He's dismissing cabinet members left and right, from H.R. McMaster to Rex Tillerson in the past week.
And you're fired.
And McMaster's tonight, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Right now. Like it's still happening.
And that's a display of power, which his supporters like. This man is in charge. He's running things. Nobody can tell him what to do. Be damned the country, but nobody can tell him what to do.
And what I think he's neglecting too is the long term of stress. So fear in the current moment is it's easy to manipulate a scared person. But then one thing I know about scared people, being someone who's worked with a lot of them, is that they're unpredictable. Is that fear moves you in a lot of different directions, right? If you're caged in a corner, you attack friend and you attack foe. Anyone, and so I feel like he might not be realizing that he may be creating a situation that is a little bit more than he can handle.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with this Second Amendment thing rearing its head. We have kids marching. We have Donald Trump speaking out against the NRA and then speaking for the NRA. And I think that he could be walking himself into a situation that is more dangerous than he may have anticipated.
I don't want to make a biblical comparison, but I'm going to make a
Bring
biblical
it up.
comparison.
Bring it up.
We have to say that the president right
now
now is acting as the author of confusion with all these things which are going on right now. When in the midst of confusion, it makes it very difficult to focus on the author of that confusion. When you have this disarray in the White House and you're dismissing cabinet members, not only does it make it more difficult to focus on the president, you're more worried about replacing the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor. Absolutely.
Cup and ball.
And so his supporters look at it very differently from the rest of us who are worried about the country. Anytime we have our third National Security Advisor in the space of a year and 2 months, and then you have your second Secretary of State, it breeds a degree of instability which is harmful to America, especially if you're trying to negotiate some sort of deal, which is bullshit, with North Korea. I'm not falling for that. But all these things going on at the same time, it puts America in a very dangerous and precarious position, because we don't even have an ambassador to South Korea. We have 42 ambassadorships which are still open. How can we be a world leader if we're not effectively constructed in a way to be able to lead? Right. We don't even have a cohesive foreign policy. I don't give a damn whether you like Trump. This is about America and America's safety. How can we sit down at the table with Kim Jong-un in North Korea? We don't even have a South Korean ambassador who was basically there on the ground.
The Korea that we have a good relationship with doesn't even have an ambassador.
And we haven't had one since he's taken office.
And so that's why now North Korea and South Korea, they're hanging out.
Right.
They're having meetings all of a sudden. And
about us.
About us. Let's be real. These meetings are about us, because then they came to Trump like, oh yeah, we're willing to have a meeting now. I'm willing to talk because, me and South Korea, we hung out after the Olympics. Remember the Olympics?
Can we go there real quick?
Yeah.
How in the hell is it that South Korea can announce that the United States is going to meet with North Korea. That's like someone coming to your house and saying, "Oh, by the way, Mo, you're getting married." Damn, how about me? I get to be the one to announce that.
Right.
And the optics of we're not in control of this negotiation. We don't have the ambassador on site or in the region. We're not actually controlling this narrative or how this is going to happen. It shows then that when you don't have the people in place or the experience and the knowledge to best manage it, we are then at the whim of a rogue regime.
That makes sense.
But isn't
Not including
part
Russia.
of this his master plan in order to manipulate his cabinet members as well? Because if at any point you can be let go, you're going to fall into line. Or at least that's what he thinks that's going to happen.
Yes, Rex Tillerson criticized Russia. He was fired by tweet. H.R. McMaster today really went in on Russia. He was fired today. So that ought to tell you something. If you want to connect it to Russia, yes, all this is circumstantial, but we have a president who's been reticent to criticize Russia, linking it back to North Korea. There is a Russian influence on North Korea as well as China. And you have a president who praises dictators, but is not willing to criticize dictators.
Yeah, what
does that mean for us?
It means that we're one martial law away, or one incident away from martial law, and I'm nervous.
Right,
I'm nervous.
Right, he could feasibly send in the National Guard the next time that he doesn't feel that a social issue is playing out the way that he would want.
And let's establish, we live in California. We've been talking about this sanctuary state status. I live in Long Beach. They have just claimed sanctuary city in Long Beach like a day ago. I embrace it. But it's clearly something that Donald Trump severely and seriously dislikes. It's something the AG has come out against very strongly. I mean, and I think that California, we might be putting ourselves in a situation where we may need to prepare ourselves.
Politics and timing. When did Donald Trump go in on California? Days before he was coming to visit California and look at the Great Wall of San Diego. All of that is timed. It's not by coincidence. It's not by chance. It's by choice. As he's already re-campaigning for 2020.
See how sexy this is? You see how sexy
so
politics
sexy.
is?
Wait, but really sad, though, is the recent gun shooting as far as the teacher's concerned. I mean, he shot up and shot the wall at the same time that Trump is saying that our schools and our teachers in the school system should be armed. Just look at his thought process and the danger that it's causing. And it's still not evidence enough when children are getting injured based on, what he's trying to implement or what he's saying, he's for. And if he's not getting the message about gun control, I mean, it's out of control right now.
Go back to
how many more people do we have to lose?
But it's not about what he's for. The only thing he's for is that which is popular to his base.
That's it.
He came on the scene because he gave a quote-unquote controversial view of immigration. When he said, they're not sending us their best. They're sending, Mexico's sending rapists and criminals and so forth. Yeah. That resonated in a way which shot him up the Republican competitor rankings. And so ever since then, everything he says is more like red meat, as they say, to the base. And when he says that we need to arm teachers, it's because the NRA is in lockstep with the Republican Party, bought and paid for. So if the NRA is going to take a stance, his stance is going to be in concert with
whatever the NRA says.
Yeah.
It's not about what he believes. I don't know if he has an ideology. I don't know if he has a system of beliefs.
He doesn't seem like a guy that would have a bunch of guns in his house and know how to clean them and use them. He just doesn't strike me as that guy.
He doesn't.
He strikes me as a guy that might go hunting and hold a gun for a moment for a picture. And then kind of move on with his day.
His hands are small. He's not holding a gun. I don't see him. Yeah.
Well, look at his history. Yeah. He was a Democrat during the Obama administration. As recently as 2009. He's been a Democrat and Republican and Independent on all sorts of occasions. So he will move to suit his interests where they may lie in a given administration.
Exactly, but I have a lot of feelings about gun control because I think that it's such a complicated concept and such a complicated issue, and we try to make it so easy. It's the mentally ill people. Go after them. Make sure they can't have guns. Or it's oh no, it's the white guys in the South. Or no, it's the black guys in Chicago. It's we always try to pin gun issues on a particular group, and we have to understand that the primary issue is that we have a cultural sickness in our country. And it's kind of what I was talking about earlier, a cultural sickness based on fear. We have a lot of people who feel like other groups, whether they be the government, whether they be the blacks, whether they be Latins, whether they be white people, are going to come into their private space and kill them. Yeah. It's less about, like, this whole mental health issue makes me absolutely nauseous. Me and Mo were talking about it a little bit last week.
I bet you Donald Trump knows nothing about mental health.
No.
So for him to try to even insinuate that that's the cause.
Yeah, and my whole breakdown.
Once again, insensitivity.
And my whole breakdown is this: the average person with a mental health issue in the United States is a person who is depressed, anxious, schizophrenic, or bipolar. Those people, there's no piece of those diagnoses that say, oh, and you're going to probably become a mass shooter. That is not a part of those diagnoses. People who are depressed are not more likely to kill other people. It is not a part of the disorder at all.
And if it were, we would see this all around the world.
Yeah.
It would not just here. We would see it everywhere because people have depression in Ghana. People have depression in Russia. People have depression everywhere. But this is a classically American thing. And so I've been trying to preach to people about the fact that the mental health argument is an argument that they're making because they know they can't do it. Because mental health records are the least accessible health records there are. You cannot gain access to mental health records because of HIPAA. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody could call if I'm a practicing psychologist, they could call my office and say, hey, Dr. Alley, are you seeing so-and-so? And I would have to say, I cannot tell you yes or no if I'm seeing that client at all. I cannot confirm or deny if I'm seeing that client at all, and hang up.
Much less the person's status.
Much less whether they're healthy, their diagnosis, whether they should have a gun. So how are they going to get this information on people's mental status in the first place?
But what about Trump? Can we get his...
We can't get his taxes.
Not even his... Yeah, no. That's true.
And also...
we can't get...
And as a clinician...
I feel like we should be able to have access to that if you're going to be the president.
You would think, but also as a clinician, you're not even able to diagnose him publicly. Right? So like therapists who are on television or on the air cannot say like, oh, I believe Donald Trump has blank. Because you've never met with him, you've never been his therapist, you've never tested him. And then if you actually had, you definitely couldn't talk about
it.
Mm-hmm. And so we're really in a situation where basically everybody read your DSM-5. Okay? Go online and Google DSM-5. And look up certain disorders. You'll find one.
But see,
we start diagnosing ourselves like, I know.
That's why I always tell people, go back to history. The NRA, from the 1930s to the 1970s, was pro-gun control. Oh. In 1999, Wayne LaPierre said, we are for gun control in our schools. Zero tolerance, no guns in our schools, with the exception of trained professionals, not arming teachers. There's even audio
like
for this.
Like police officers or a person on campus for that purpose. Okay.
The only reason they were for gun control in the 30s to the 60s was because there were black people running around.
And they didn't want them to get their hands on guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look at the history here in California, specifically, there was an act created because a bunch of Black Panthers went to the state capitol demonstrating open carry with their guns. They said, then they said, we need gun control now. So it has never, to your point, it's always been about demonizing a certain people,
That's it.
Group, anything but the guns themselves. The only thing which has changed between then and now is the stance of the NRA and the prevalence and the proliferation of guns in this country. Because we as a country, we've been dealing with mental illness since we are just better at diagnosing it.
That's it.
But how we respond to it is categorically different.
That's it. We don't have, we shut down our state hospitals. Obviously there was problems with state hospitals in the, from the beginning of time until, was it Maury Povich that did this, the investigation?
No, it was Geraldo.
Geraldo went in the late 70s and was really investigating and saw that there was some horrific things going on in state hospitals. And so Reagan was kind of like, all right, shut them all down. So now we have a large group of people who actually do need long-term protracted mental health
in prison
access, and they're being incarcerated because there's no facilities that can house a person for longer than a month. It's very hard. And I've worked in inpatient hospitals, and I know how difficult it is to keep a patient there because the insurance company is basically like, you have to show us why this patient still needs to be hospitalized. Like, it costs a lot of money, and we need to figure out a way to actually get this person back to what they say, like a lower level of care.
Right.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. March Madness. If you are single, ready to mingle, and if you're ready to, mix, mingle, play, and win, March Madness is March 29th, and The Spicy Life is going to be hosting our live podcast there at the Continental Club at 7 o'clock. So you get to be a part of the studio audience. If you want to come through, we would love to have you. Ask Dr. Alley and I any questions. We're going to have a relationship expert panel and then go into a speed dating game, and it's going to be free flowing. There's going to be drinks. Come, invite your friends, and you can get tickets on Eventbrite or go to thespicylife.com. But we would love to have you at March Madness. Okay, so we're on the topic of course, politics and sex and scandals that are going on. But there's a deeper issue that is going on in the personal lives of majority of these men. The cheating. Why is cheating so prevalent in politics? I understand the power, but they're getting the pussy. Like, they're in a relationship. In your opinion, why do they have to have multiple women?
Donald Trump told you this. When he was on the bus with Billy Bush, he told you. Because it's about asserting that power. It's one thing to have it, but it's something else to be able to use it. You know, grab them in the pussy. That's about asserting power.
Wow.
I just walk up and just start
Taking it.
kissing them, you know, because I can.
God.
And as dirty as that may sound, and as criminal as that may actually be, a lot of guys get off on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think, like, how many times have you just been grabbed in public? Like, just walking through LA with not
like
even
on the
super
arm or something
no,
like
I mean,
that?
I've been grabbed on the butt, on the boobs. I've had guys just
I
like
have,
definitely
the boob.
yank your elbow. The elbow
The butt-
yank is very
butt
aggressive.
pinch.
But yeah, I've definitely had guys just come up and brush against you and touch you, and like and I think that I heard one older gentleman kind of talking about it, and he was like an older white guy, and he was saying that, like, when he watched television as a kid, you know, you watch Gone with the Wind, you
Yeah.
watch all this stuff, and the whole concept was the woman had to play hard to get, because that kept her from being like this loose woman with no morals. And so she had to fight you in the beginning, and then you kissed her, and then she tried to pull away, and you're like, no, and then she stayed, and then you fell in love.
She melts in your
Right?
arms.
And that was kind of this impression that was given to a lot of kids who were like, you know, living off of this 1940s, 1950s television. And now we're in a world where women can speak out because we actually have some level of power. And it's like, oh yeah, secretly we always hated that.
But you didn't want to get punched in the face either.
We didn't want to get punched
We're
in the
also a
face.
little scared.
And then
Right.
left alone with no money and 3
Right.
kids and no ability to take care of anybody. And so we would like tolerate it. But now it's like, oh no, I could just get a job and leave you.
Right.
And then the police will come and take you to jail.
But the two things you touch upon, you talk about the guy, the average guy on the street, and you also talk about the powerful guy in the office or
Yeah.
in the political position,
Both cheat.
where you have to deal with the consequences of how you choose to respond to it. Now, there are women who say, no means no, stay away from me. And there are other women who just have to play the game, not acquiescing,
Yeah.
not going along,
Right. Yeah.
but have to be cognizant of the fact that I need this job.
Right.
Like the Weinstein kind of situation.
Right, and I don't want this person to limit
Yeah.
my future opportunities as well. But Donald Trump told us, let's believe him when he showed us who he was or is in terms of having power, men cheating, and being able to do it without consequence. When people feel that they can do something without consequence, they are going to do it. Donald Trump says all this crazy shit. Why? Because he can do it without consequence.
And he knows it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then also, too, Melania allegedly knew the entire time that he was cheating.
I've read a few articles that said that, but
Why would she not know?
I mean,
she would have to know that. I'm quite
pretty
sure
obvious
he was
what she
cheating
signed
on
up for.
someone when they met. I mean, you have to know, if you know the history of Donald Trump, going back to Ivanka and Marla Maples and so forth, each subsequent wife was because of a cheating affair. So if you think that your pussy's that good, okay, God bless
It's
you.
true.
But
Yeah.
it probably isn't.
there's more.
Yeah.
There's more
I
out
mean,
there. There's younger, better,
there's
And
just
there's a porn
different.
star
This
with
is
different.
different.
just different.
You know,
So
there's,
what do we say on your show? Strange.
Right.
There's nothing
It's-
better than
it's
strange.
unfamiliar to
It's
you.
different sex.
That's
It's
true.
sex with a new person. There's
That's
nothing
true.
better than that.
That's true.
The first time of the insertion, it's like, ooh, what am I doing? This is bad.
but for men, I think part of it is the challenge and the chase.
Yeah.
It's is going back to your point about, well, okay, I'm going to get her, I'm going to make her mine, or yeah, I know she's married, or yeah, she has a boyfriend, or yeah, that a lot of guys want to get at her, but there's a challenge in there.
Yeah.
There's a test in there, and a lot of guys get off on that.
And you know what's funny to me? I have a lot of clients that, come with this, continuous issue of they're dating a guy and he's telling them, your pussy's not that powerful. I don't know why women try to hold out. You guys, hold your pussy to too high, of a standard. That's what guys who are trying to get it tell you in order for you to give it up sooner.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just manipulation
Yeah.
because why would he be arguing for something that he didn't really want?
That's it.
It's
Don't
just
ever believe
reverse
it.
psychology.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it.
It's not that important to me. Just go ahead and give it to me.
Yeah.
No.
I'm
It's
telling you.
very powerful because let me tell you, they will chase, and you might tease just a little bit, make them think that they can get it. But as long as you keep it from them and you hold out, you will continue to have the power.
But there is such a thing as overplaying a hand.
You can't overplay your hand.
And women, I've been in relationships with women where they'll either ration it out or hold it from you, thinking that that is going to keep a man in a relationship. Nope. And it's not. No. It's not. And I would advise against women doing that.
You don't do it to play the game, but you do it so that you can decide if you actually like the person who he is, and if it's his representative that you're about to sleep with, or if it's actually the person that you are thinking that
Agreed.
he is. I'll figure out who he is first.
I think for women, sex is not enjoyable if you don't feel secure. Right? You need that feeling of safety, whether it's emotional safety or physical safety. Like, you can't be scared and aroused at the same. It's a little difficult. Because like even with like bondage and all that stuff, there's still a level of safety. There's rules, there's code words, there's all this stuff that goes into it. And so if you're not secure with the person, because sometimes like you don't know what he's doing or you're not sure like who else he's with, it's really hard to give yourself freely to that person. So I always say like you do need to wait until you have some level of understanding of who this person is. And so that's why I think when people have like these weird metrics, like, well, I always wait 90 days or I wait for 10 days, I feel like, but maybe this guy just is someone that you really align with, and maybe within an hour you know that he's just someone that you really are cool with. Like maybe it takes 2 years, you know.
The dynamics are different. Yeah. It's easier for a man to penetrate, I would say, than a woman to allow to be penetrated.
Absolutely.
There's just a different mindset going in.
We're receiving, they're inserting.
Yeah, and it's like this, me and my husband always talk about like energy and all of this stuff, and like there's a lot of like Eastern cultures that really talk about like how when men have sex they lose chi. Men lose a lot of energy to women, and women take on energy during sex and sexual exchanges. And so like these are things you have to be aware of, and like there's even like a cultural practice where they'll engage in sex and not orgasm. Or like come but not release anything. It's a really interesting because they don't want to release. It's like what monks will do, and they don't want to release.
What's the fun in that?
The chi. I know. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
It's like
I don't. But it's
you know
a thing.
You can chew the cupcake and then spit it out just so that you know what it tastes like. But you're like, okay, but I'm not gonna get the calories. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like an act in like it's like a meditation. It's
mental.
I need to read more articles about it.
You still get to feel good.
Yeah, me and my husband were talking about it. We were like,
anorexic life.
You still get to feel good.
I don't know if I would enjoy the cupcake if I have to spit it out.
I always want to eat stuff and spit it out.
Though you're still getting the taste.
I'm not.
I need to hit my stomach for it to feel good.
No,
but if I've already eaten 3 cupcakes, why do I need the 4th one? I just want to taste the 4th one.
You think that it has to be digested? It does not.
These are
my
LA
stomach
things that nobody
dictates
should
when
do.
I'm hungry, so it has to touch the stomach.
Most of us eat to the point beyond satisfaction.
I don't even get hungry anymore because I'm a grazer. I'm just always constantly eating. So it's like I haven't been hungry in a while because I'm just always like, oh, let me eat these like
I saw
cashews.
like 3 containers of Tupperware over there.
I brought lentil soup today just in case I got a little famished because I knew I might need to like munch on something. I was like, I want to be healthy, so I lentil soup.
Instead
it doesn't seem all that fulfilling though. Lentil soup.
It is. It's super good. You guys should try it. It's delicious. No, none of them look
Insert
excited.
My
endorsement.
husband got the lentils. I know. Okay, the fascination was with porn stars.
Yeah.
I'm pro porn. I actually think that like it's fun to watch. That's a spicy tip right there. Watch porn with your man. I mean, it's enjoyable, but there is this fascination or this like dream of having sex with a porn star. I think that Trump was in a position, of course, where he can have that fulfilled. But it's not uncommon, even for the normal guy, to want to experience the woman in, the television on camera that is performing all these amazing tricks that they're not getting at home.
Ugh.
I must be the exception in this regard.
You've never seen a porn star on
No, because the whole idea of going where no man has gone before, but every man has gone before is not appealing to me. I saw this gangbang tape where this woman literally took on 128 men.
Oh my God.
And for me, porn is not real.
Yeah.
So it's not attractive to me. There's more times than not, there's no real chemistry between the actors. They're engaging in an act. It's usually done under some bullshit circumstances. She answers the door. It's the pizza guy. He has no underwear on. All of a sudden, they're fucking.
I love that storyline.
No, that's ridiculous.
So, is that right?
Dominoes.
Like, wait, when I was in college, so I've never really been into porn, but in college, it was really trendy to watch Bang Bus. Did you ever see?
I don't think I've seen Bang Bus.
It was just really, it was really weird. Yeah, in college, it was like a huge thing in college. Everyone would just watch it and laugh. Where basically they would get in a car, these two guys, they would pick up a girl, which clearly wasn't really a girl on the street. I'm sure they knew her.
Yeah.
Right.
But they pretended like they didn't. They would put her in the van, they would have sex with her, and then like dump her. And then drive away.
That's sick.
I know. And we would all watch it like, what is going to happen next? What is it? It was almost like, like an intro to like reality TV.
Oh my God. That's scary
it was ridiculous.
And dangerous.
It was terrifying. And now I'm just sitting here like, why is that something that people wanted? Because what it does is it changes your expectations for what sex is supposed to be.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And now it has you thinking 100 people having sex with one woman is typical.
And it can almost desensitize you as well.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
you're watching. Now, when you're not getting that, exact satisfaction, or you're not getting the same emotional connection to it that you once had because you've been, infiltrated with it.
But we've talked about this off the air. I come from the music industry, which is like porn adjacent.
Yeah.
In many ways. There are a lot of connections between the music industry and the porn industry. So, yeah, there were a lot of porn actresses I would come across as far as not working with, but they would do things for the label.
Yeah.
They'd be around.
Yeah, they'd be around. So the whole idea, you get to see porn stars in real life.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with Mr. Marcus, so he would tell me about a lot of things which would go on
I used to bump into him all the time.
I still bump into him.
We would hang out.
24-hour fitness. He's like living there.
Yeah, you see him all the time. One of the nicest people you ever want to meet.
Super nice.
But you get a real sense of what it actually is, and there's nothing sexy
It's a job. Just
about
like any
what
other
he
job.
does.
So let me ask you something then. When you watch that gangbang of 100 women and guys, was that research?
I'm in my 20s, so
I'm not
you
into
got to
porn.
remember.
I just watch this gangbang.
No, this is the advent of the internet age. So the whole idea of having the accessibility of free porn or porn. See, I grew up in an age where we were just happy to have a Playboy or a Penthouse.
Yeah.
And it was the advent of the VHS porn movie. So I've seen all this come full circle.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, what is this?
Right, and then you saw just this type of porn, that type of porn. Oh, she did it with a horse? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And so you get to see all these different types of things, and it's, I guess it's research on a
Didn't Playboy
certain
go out
level.
of business? I thought, or they didn't stop publishing Playboy magazine?
They shifted. I feel like they shifted their focus to being more content based and less.
They went away
from
from nude pictures. They did bring the nude pictures back, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's checking for the magazine.
Like nobody's picking that up. I feel like nobody's like going into their local gas station to get the bar covered. Like,
and that speaks to the prevalence of porn. So to answer your question, it's like I said, that's a little too real in the sense of that is completely unsexy. I would not want to be guy number 63, and I would not want to have a woman who serviced 120 guys in one night, professionally or personally. So that does nothing for me, going back to Donald Trump. So the idea or allure of being with a porn star is not something that I've ever had.
Yeah, I guess it's just it's based on your own personality. Like certain guys maybe are more drawn to that.
How they met?
Stormy and Donald?
Yeah.
It's probably at one of his hotels or something, just a chance meet. It was like a golf tournament or something like that.
I think it might have been a golf tournament.
Yeah.
I think it was something like super typical, super normal.
And then he was like super pressed, like all up on, I gotta meet you. We gotta meet later. And
he seems like he's a little corny. Like
seems like he's very corny.
He seems like
he has no game.
But
He's
he
never
is a
had any
matchmaker,
game.
though. He set Junior up with Vanessa at one of his,
arranged weddings.
Look,
yeah.
you got $1 billion, you're already in.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna fuck you at that point. All you gotta do is not fuck it up. It's not that hard. You have, as far as security goes, just be a nice guy.
I've
That's
turned
all you
down a
gotta
lot
do.
of $1 million dick.
Yes, you have. But I'm saying, but you listen to what he had to say.
I listened to what he had to say.
You listen to what he had to say.
If he would have said what I needed to hear, he would have gotten it.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's all I'm saying. You have an easier path.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very true. But don't you feel as if, like, with social media, like, we're desensitized just like we would be if we were watching porn every day.
Oh, absolutely.
Naked pictures all day long. Everybody's a porn star now. Everybody's a model now. We see it all the time.
I almost feel like the sting of porn has almost gone down because we're so desensitized to it. Like, for example, like my Instagram is pink. Lots of my pictures, it's like my theme. And so sometimes I just type in like hashtag pink sometimes just to find pictures of pink things.
No.
And at certain parts of the, like at night when it's like late, it's just vaginas.
And you think,
like it's just
labia.
It's a mess. I'm like, what if I was a kid looking for pink pictures on Instagram?
Instagram is a lot of times not safe for work, and
No.
supposedly they don't allow nudity.
It's everywhere.
Allegedly.
It's everywhere.
Allegedly, yeah.
Straight up nudity.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. Yeah.
But I thought you can follow someone now for a price on IG. You know, you subscribe and you can follow them now for a price. And
I refuse.
get access to all their nudies
Yeah.
and videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, is that
It's
what
become
people are doing?
online porn.
Yeah.
I'm not even aware.
Between you look on a story. Don't ask me how I know this. But if you go into one of their
You're a
stories,
journalist.
I
You're a
know.
journalist. You have to research.
But if you go into their stories, a lot of times it might be linked with Snapchat as well, and they say swipe up if you want to see my other pictures and videos for like $20 a month
This
and
is
everything.
how
make the
they're
payment.
doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just like this. I believe women should be in control of their bodies as long as there's not some man behind the scenes controlling the money and forcing her to do something. I'm like, listen, the Lord gave it to you.
So as long as it's direct depositing into her account.
As long
Okay.
as it's direct depositing into her
No
controlled
manager.
account with no manager, I feel like, you should have the right to do what you want to do. But yeah, it is definitely a culture that I think impacts the relationships of us non sex work people, us averages, us normies.
Do you think that it affects the ability for us to connect and create relationships? So is it harder for me to appreciate a man more, or a man, not able or capable to appreciate a woman more when he has, when his timeline is, filled up with all of these pictures of unrealistic bodies and, visuals, when it's time for him to actually get to know a woman and, learn and hopefully fall in love with her?
Yeah.
He can't.
Yeah.
Because he has these, once again, expectations. in his head.
I agree. If you can look at just about any woman you want or appeals to you in her underwear or a bikini or halfway dress, then that is going to be your motivating factor when meeting other women. You're just trying to get to that point to make a comparison.
Exactly.
And then you go from there. You're not trying to, at least not consciously, you're not consciously seeking a relationship which is built on anything substantive.
And now with these lifelike sex dolls,
Oh God, the sex robots are
I'm
coming.
waiting for the guys to come.
They
When
have male sex.
guys.
They have male sex robots and all that stuff. They exist. I watched a whole documentary on them. They're
Where do I
horrible.
find that?
They're horrible. YouTube. I just type in sex doll.
Because there's a show that I watch on Sci-Fi called Humans, and these sex dolls are they've come to life. They're robots, but you can sleep with the maid whenever you want. You can sleep.
The real ones are not that good at all. They're horrible. Robots are not good at all right now. Like they're acting like they're so great, but like Flippy worked for like one afternoon.
We're about maybe 10 years away from the industrial sex revolution.
Robots are not doing it. But like I absolutely agree. I think like we have a lot of guys who are also under the impression that they can get women that are so out of their league. We have these guys that
You
are
see
like
them all day long.
Yeah, that are like physically all right. Personality, okay, money, good, whatever, but then they want a girl who's, 5'7" and 104 pounds and, has hair down to her butt and she's, has 3 PhDs and I'm sitting
Are
here
you
like,
talking about you?
yeah, that would be me.
I'm not a PhD.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, your hair's pretty long.
That would be me. But actually, that's my sister.
I wonder-
She has really long hair.
I wonder if we're going to see the dynamics change though, because the most recent studies have shown though that attractive people get with other attractive people, and unattractive winds up with unattractive people.
Yeah.
And so
You hit at your own range.
yeah, but I'm wondering if we're going to see that change eventually. But that's why if a man has power, he's able to navigate just a little bit better.
I think men tend to be more visually motivated.
Yeah.
And we had talked about this before. A man will see a fine woman sitting on a bus bench, not have a job or any real prospects, and he will hear her story. She's fine.
Oh, for sure.
Okay?
You may wife her.
Right. and I don't think that's the case working in the other direction.
It's hard. It's harder for women, I think, to marry somebody who doesn't have the same level of drive that you have.
Right.
I think it's much more difficult.
If he's extremely fine and great in bed,
Listen,
she'll give him more time than he should.
My focus used to be young, dumb, and full of cum. Okay, that used to be my thing, and there's just no substance in it. It's so empty. I actually dated one guy that would always tell me, he'd be like, "Why do you want to know so much? Like, just stop reading all this stuff. Like, why do you always want to?" And I was like, "God, I can't be with you." And he proposed to me, and I was literally like, I told him no.
He was dumb as a doorknob?
He was the dumbest. But he was so cute.
I've been there. It's hard.
And I no shade to Home Depot, but he like worked at Home Depot.
Shout out to Lowe's.
Like, no shade. Like, that's a good job. but like he didn't want to. He had no desire to do anything more. He I was getting my PhD, and he was just like.
See, that's about station in life. You can do that in your early 20s, but by the time you get closer to 30 and you're trying to make life decisions, I always call this the other 23 hours of the day. There have been women I've been with, great sex. I mean, like change your life. Move across the country type sex. Make you rethink your place in the world sex. And then you realize the other 23 hours of the day are just shitty.
Yeah, there's horrible in every other way.
Mo, you have been married longer than Allie and I, a lot longer.
No, she's been married longer
than
maybe a month longer. Yeah. Me and Aaron's 2 years on Monday.
Oh, you did beat him because he's only been married, a year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, look, that's light speed years.
I'm the old lady. I'm the old married lady in the room.
We're all still quote unquote newlyweds.
2 months over here. These are some newlyweds.
Yeah. Okay, so you weren't afraid of losing the spice then when you got married in the bedroom because you said you've had this amazing mind blowing sex. What did you tell yourself, or what are you doing right now to keep it spicy then, since you've had
She's getting personal.
Phenomenal,
let me put it like this. Your needs change, your wants and desires change, and priorities change. In other words, I don't need the swinging from the chandelier sex.
Yeah.
I need a healthy relationship where we can talk and discuss things and we're not at each other's throats, because I always say, when I was dating the women with the great sex, we had some shitty arguments. And that passion plays out differently outside the bedroom in terms of trust issues and just anger and impatience with one another. So as a man in my 40s, it's not about I need a woman who'll do all these things that I've dreamed about doing, because I've done those things. I need a woman who can stimulate me the other 23 hours of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Because you have to be.
And I know it sounds corny, but
no, it's real. It's real because you have to be with that person all the time. And if they don't stimulate every piece of you, or multiple pieces of you at least, how? Because let's establish, when we're all in our 90s, we're probably not going to be having a ton of sex.
No.
When we're in our 90s?
90s. Like your hip could go out. Your hip. Think of your hip.
You're assuming that we
maybe
live
not
that
sex,
long.
But I'm just asking for some
I plan on living. Like my grandma, one of my grandmas is 96, the other is 91. My 91-year-old can walk around, but I don't see either of them getting it on. Like, I don't see it. And so I just like, if you don't have anything else to tether to that relationship, then you might be in a world of hurt if all you have is sex, because sex is something that, if he gets a sprained hip or he gets a sprained back, you might be done in your 30s,
Can I be honest here? Okay, I'm 48 years old.
Honesty.
I'm not trying to fuck all night long.
I mean, my God.
Okay?
Get it done. Do what you gotta do.
I'm not trying to prove anything anymore.
Nope.
I mean, because it's like, whose is it? Okay, it's mine. I already know.
We've been married to you for 2 years. Yes. We've been dating for 3.
Yes.
I know exactly whose it is.
Yes. So you're not looking for those types of things.
And I think that's something people need to know, is that passion and like the passion is still there, but like sex changes. You know what I'm saying? And at a certain point you have to be okay with that. That can't be the only thing.
Well, for you married couples out there or people in a relationship, spicy tip. The spicy tip jar will save your life. Every week he puts a desire or fantasy, new place to have sex that he wants, or new position that he wants to try. You put one in as well, ladies.
All right.
Also put in a compliment, what you appreciate about him. Let him put in a compliment as well. And then each week you guys pull one out. You never know if you're getting a compliment or a new sex position. But
I have
it keeps it suspenseful. Oh, I thought that was a high five.
No, that too. It's good to have. So you say put in a suggestion for a location. Are you talking about location in the house or location on the body?
A position that you want to try, or a location that you want to do.
So we're going Kama Sutra. We're going, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe
just wanted to be clear.
Maybe she wants you hanging from a chandelier. Maybe you want some whips and chains. Put that in the spicy tip jar.
Okay.
And whatever you guys pull, you got to actually now do.
That's a very spicy tip.
But it helps. That way it's like, oh, I don't want to put sex on the calendar, but you have something to look forward to, and it gives a little suspense in the relationship, especially if one of you travel. You never know.
There we go.
It works. I've done this.
I'm gonna test it out.
Strong shade.
But that will help bring the spice back, especially if you've been married, and maybe then you won't need a porn star. Okay, we always have to wrap up the show with the naked truth. So all of our guests always have to answer these 3 spicy questions.
Okay.
It's the end of the world. What are you doing? Eating, sleeping, Watching CNN or having sex?
I would say eating for this reason, because they say dick don't lie.
Ooh.
If it's the end of the world, I'm probably not stimulated in that way.
I'll be scared shitless.
Yeah, I'm thinking about family members. I'm thinking
But you
about
are going to be hungry,
say
though.
goodbye. Yeah, no, I probably would be hungry at that point. I'd be hungry, but I'm not. If I'm going to be
going
doing
out
one
with
of
some
those,
steak.
you know, I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to have some pizza or something.
Something you shouldn't eat,
Right.
but it doesn't matter now.
It's like last meal, final
Yeah.
meal. So if it's the end of the
it's
world,
the wings and the ice cream. Like the ridiculous stuff that you want to pay for.
As long as you just stay away from beans so you're not farting
Yeah.
and you become Republican.
That's it. That's it.
call back.
Farts make you
Okay,
Republican.
one crush in either politics or the industry that you've always wanted to crush. Someone that if you weren't married,
God.
you would have taken down.
Ooh, there's so many.
Oh my
No, because
God.
working in the entertainment industry, it's like,
Just
oh my
give
gosh.
us one little fantasy
Oh my
person.
God. Think of your family.
No, I think.
This is fiction. This is fiction.
No, okay. This is a true story. I was over at Halle Berry's house one night, and I have a picture. I have a picture of it. You can go to my website, MrMoKelly.com. You can see the picture.
Oh, I want to see this.
Okay. And this is the time she was married to Eric Benet. I'm friends with Eric
That
Benet.
is the sexiest couple. That was
Oh
the
my
sexiest
God.
couple in the world.
So he's my boy. I'm not trying to look at her that way,
Mm-hmm,
but I'm telling you, we had a moment when that picture was taken.
Your eyes met her eyes.
I'm just saying, if he wasn't my boy and I was a little more drunk and we had a little more
They could have been
time
Yeah.
uninterrupted,
She
I
was-
think I could have chopped her down.
Or she was practicing her lines in her head for Monsters Ball while she was looking at you.
Something.
I don't think she said any lines because I've seen that movie. She's just grunting. She's like,
No.
Make me feel good.
That's
that was
right.
what she was
That's
practicing.
all she said. That's all she said.
Okay, last question. A body swap. Who would you switch bodies with? Anyone in the world for one day, you would body swap with them. They come in your body, you go into their body. One day you would be that person.
there's an actor by the name of Brian White, who's
Oh.
also a friend of mine.
Okay, you would be
And-
Brian for the day.
Yeah, because he can get anyone.
Oh,
He can get
Oh,
anyone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go out,
I
party,
use it.
do your
Yeah, I use it so I can get more ass. Okay.
okay.
No.
This is all hypothetical, right?
This is
All
all
hypothetical.
right.
we do not have the technology.
We're
Yeah,
not
right.
going to
We
black
do not have the
you.
technology.
Right. Brian, I'd be you for a day so I can go fuck some.
As you.
Yeah. And not have to worry about it.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
Mo,
it. It's his
You have
problem.
to let everybody, know where to find you. They can always tune into the Mo Kelly Show, but where else?
Sure. And the Mo Kelly Show is on KFI AM 640 and iHeartRadio Saturdays and Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m. Or you can always find me on CNN or CNN International. You can get all my information at my website at MrMoKelly.com. That's MrMoKelly.com. Same on Instagram. Same on Twitter at Mr. Mo Kelly. And I'll see you there.
Dr. Ali, where can they find you?
You can tell he works in this.
I know, I'm like,
All right. I know he's really good. All right. AllisonHicks.com. That's ALLYCIN Hicks, HICKS. And that's also Allison Hicks on IG and Twitter.
and you guys can go to thespicylife.com and make sure that you get your March Matchness tickets. And you can always play with my Twitter or stroke my Instagram at SpicyMadi. There you have it. You have just been spiced.
Bye.
The Spicy